It is now officially set up. I just need to do the spiel first.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of KingQuest, where it's my specific, not duty, plan, goal, responsibility to read and watch everything related to Stephen King under the sun that I could just get my grabby little hands on. Today's episode is number 3, where we are watching the Carrie movie, the original one, 1976. Literally came out because Carrie, the book, from 1974, was so popular they immediately made it into a movie to put it on screens. We just finished watching it like 10 minutes ago, and I said we because it is not the royal we. It is an important distinction. I have my friends and sisters that watched it with me, and so we're just all together and we have feelings. So I have my sister Rhiannon.
Hello.
My friend Jamie.
Hello.
And then my friend Jay.
Hey, what's up?
So please talk loud, you guys, just to make sure this microphone works for the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
We just all finished watching it together, so this is definitely adrenaline. And Jamie has thoughts.
I have so many thoughts and opinions.
To lay this bare, I read the book, obviously, a few weeks ago. Y'all heard my podcast. Jamie read the book. She read it alongside with me, just on separate things. Good for her.
I support.
Rhiannon has not read the book, but she has seen this movie before. So me, Jamie, and Rhiannon have seen this movie before. Jay has not read the book, and Jay has not seen the movie.
Nope.
This is her first time seeing this movie. So I guess, Jay, spoilers on this book, because Jamie has thoughts.
Okay. No worries. I do.
I guess, first off, how did you like the film, y'all?
It was different than what I expected. Obviously, Carrie is such a huge part of the zeitgeist. There's so many references to it, throughout other forms of media. So I obviously, I knew about, the blood moment.
The blood
I
thing.
knew about the telekinesis. I knew about the religious mom. It's just seeing how it all came together. It's more tragic than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I kind of thought everyone was against her, and in reality, it was just a select number of people that ruined it for everyone else. So to me, that made it even more tragic. Because she really, but by killing everyone, she was punishing them for the sins of just a few. So.
Yeah. And I got the same feeling. I've talked about it in the first episode that none of y'all listened to, where Carrie is a tragedy. Listen,
because we can't listen to it.
Yeah, you guys. It is on YouTube.
Oh,
I published the first 2 episodes on YouTube already on my secret channel.
Yeah, that you didn't tell us about on your secret channel.
Okay, then it's still not. It's not our
business.
Yeah,
it's
no. It's
good.
Good.
Us.
Okay.
What about
you? Do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead. What are your thoughts?
I do mine because I think once Jamie starts getting, there's gonna be an ad.
We're building up to Jamie.
Jesus stuff. So I have watched the movie a couple of times actually, before watching it this time, and I think for me this time around watching it, it's just, I don't know. Carrie's a bit of a hard watch for me sometimes.
Yeah.
Not only because of the bullying and such that she's going through, and then also the trauma with her mom that she's going through, and just thinking about, there are people out there in the world, maybe, this is sensationalized, but there are people who are bullied in school, and there are people who have less than awesome parents, that they need to get the fuck away from, and then, just with the school, obviously, what Jay said about punishing everybody for the crimes of the select few. It's hard to watch, especially in today's world where we have. Yes, we can swear.
Don't worry, we can fucking swear.
We can say fuck at it.
I'm gonna bother to edit anything. Are you kidding? My lazy ass doesn't give a shit. I barely edit my own pauses last time.
But
I give a shit about how I'm writing.
Just watching the gymnasium scene, the prom scene is also a hard watch just because of today's climate and a lot of violence in schools and stuff. I can't help but think about that stuff when I watch that scene, and it just adds another layer of just
Yeah.
It's hard to watch sometimes, man.
You end up feeling so bad for her. Like, it's like she just cannot catch a break. And then she has this power that could be a cool, empowering thing, but she doesn't know what to do with it. And I think kind of deep down, she subconsciously thinks it's evil. Like, it's like, sure, but her mom has just like nailed it in her head that all these things, they're unnatural and they're of the devil.
I don't know if she thinks that it's evil, because in the book, she specifically says, it's not the devil, it's me.
She said it in the movie, too.
Yeah, she said it in the movie, too.
Yeah.
She affirms that because she is not part of her mother's religion and ideology, because she is, you know, as a kid in school, is more secular, but she definitely had, like, a hard line of, this is who I am, not, like, any of these influences. So, I feel like that part is, like, a bit of a...
Maybe there was a little bit of, like, a bleed through, right?
It might be,
if
yeah,
you're
like...
surrounded by that messaging for your whole life, it's gonna soak into you a little bit, that shame.
I believe that it is, but once she has that power and realize that it is hers for, like, the telekinesis, like, you could see her becoming just, like, a bit more confident in herself and, like, branching out. So
when she goes through her own research at her school
when she goes through her own research, right.
Yeah.
Which today would be the internet.
Jamie, you have thoughts.
I have so many thoughts, but first of all, y'all say that those people were innocent. Those motherfuckers all stood there and laughed, and none of them really helped her. At no point did any of them help her. And during school, they could have tried to befriend her.
True.
They could have, stepped up and given it a try. All those girls in the bathroom, like, yeah, one person started it, but they all built into it too. So it's like that, not to be too real with the times, but kind of just like Nazi Germany, like, I stood by and watched, and then they came for me.
I guess I had thought with that scene, like, for the girls in the bathroom, 100%.
Yeah.
I guess I had that in that scene with the gymnasium. I thought that was all in her mind, and that was actually
too.
The way that it was framed.
Perception.
But if it was actually happening, then I would say, 100%. Like,
it was probably a mix of both, but with the way that the editing was doing, where it's like, it started out, they're gonna laugh at you in her head, because obviously we saw during that scene, like, only 2 people really laughed, and everyone else was still a bit shocked and horrified. So
we don't get
it was like a bit of like, because they were spiraling around to different people and different viewpoints. Like, I think it started out as it might be in her mind, and then the laughter might have been like a contagious moment for everyone else, like how it was set in the book. It could have been nervous laughter, right?
What the fuck?
But like, I think like her perception of the event definitely got escalated because of her background.
I guess I had thought it was only the red hat girl that was laughing, and everything else was in her mind. And so, like, if everyone else was just, like, staring there, or, like, Tommy was, like, being like, what the hell just happened before you got hit in the head?
Jamie's point, though, when teachers and people did come up to the stage, it was to check on Tommy.
No,
like, he was hit with a bucket and knocked unconscious and died. But, like,
go to Carrie.
To Carrie at all.
Nobody brought her some, like, napkin or something to at least clean her eyes off or anything. No.
At least Tommy was a good guy that mouthed, what the hell. At least, he was understood of, like, this is fucked,
Tommy
y'all.
was a real one till the end.
Yeah, he really was. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody went to her, the one who had the pig's blood dumped on.
Yeah.
To be like, to, like, help move her off the stage or anything.
They were carrying the stage for so long!
Also, I don't know if y'all noticed, but they were carrying Tommy like pallbearers, like 6 on 6. They were, like, walking. I don't think he got saved, but they were definitely carrying.
That said, this movie does play, like, 1 second for, like, 10 minutes, so I don't know how much she actually was on the stage.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
It's part of it. Yeah, they have definitely. This movie has like a lot of scenes that linger or drag. Part of it is like probably time fuckery of, is this in our mind? Is this what's happening? Part of it, I think they just really like that atmospheric thing of like
it's a directorial choice.
Dragging, especially with Carrie's house, especially with her like fucked up crazy religious house of just like really showing in how
the
nuts.
pictures. They're like, this is wild. Like, look at all this shit, you know?
Jamie, more
Yeah.
thoughts?
Okay, yeah, more thoughts. So, having read the book and having read it so recently, one of the things I liked about the book was the different viewpoints that you get to hear. You get to read articles that are published afterwards. You get to read reports being made real time as things are happening, like during the school fire and everything there. People trying to piece together what happened. Hearings of survivors to figure out if Carrie actually had telekinesis or if it was just some wiring issue that they want to blame it on and all of that. So I feel like you get a broader picture, and there's always an issue when you take a book and turn it to a movie, right? I get that. That is so true. But I feel like in this movie, they just focused more so on those long, drawn out things. There wasn't as much dialogue at all. It was all internalized, and you don't get that bigger picture. Also, they really kind of normed up the gym teacher for film and made it more socially acceptable at the time, that she wasn't so butch and she wasn't so, well,
she didn't the vibe from her.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
No, I think in the book, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but in the book, she's like 26.
Yeah, she's
a gym teacher.
teacher.
This was literally her first year teaching, which, spoilers, I guess. She was one of the people that survives in the book. She got killed by being, like cleft in twain by a random raptor in the movie, but in the book, she survived, and her first thing was like, I'm retiring, I literally can't teach anymore. Her
Peace
first
out,
year,
Girl Scouts.
26, I'm retiring.
how bad this fire was in the book. Like, the entire class and, like, the seniors and the junior year and a spattering of other people, like,
massive tragedy.
Over 300 students died in this.
Yeah.
Like, just the fire itself. And then we see Carrie's just, like, fucking up the entire town on her way to, like,
okay, I was getting there. I was getting there.
Yeah.
I was getting there. Because I was waiting for that in the movie. One of my favorite parts is, like, this trail of destruction and terror that in planning that Carrie does in her mind. Like, it really shows how powerful and smart she really is.
Yeah.
As she, she locks everybody in, and then she kind of takes a moment out by herself and doesn't really know what she's going to do. And then she goes back in and she's like, fuck y'all. And some people escape by going out through the back. And the two people, Chris and what is his name?
Billy.
I was just going to say John Travolta.
John Travolta.
This was like one of his very first movie roles. Carrie is John Travolta.
Yeah.
So they actually get away, and so Carrie forges a path throughout the town. Like, she knows that firefighters are going to come, and the very small part of the police that actually exists in this town, like one sheriff and a deputy, are going to come. So she releases the valves on all of the fire hydrants.
So there's no water.
There's no water. It shoots out everywhere.
And it's all in her mind. So it's just like she's walking, kind of like WandaVision, just leaving a path of destruction.
That is such a good vision.
WandaVision might have like taken like ideas
for
from
sure.
Carrie, just like this idea of like this powerful woman wreaking hell and getting her revenge on everyone, which they
had enough.
They did touch it somewhat of what she's doing in the thing, but yes, I agree that they definitely missed like her carnage on the rest of the town.
Jamie, they didn't have the budget for that.
Okay, listen,
that's my
I know.
That is absolutely.
It would have been amazing.
No, it would have been absolutely
and wait, there was more though.
I was gonna say
there's more.
A lot more.
So as she's going through, you get the viewpoint of this town drunk who usually puts himself in the drunk tank at night.
Yeah.
And has like a relationship with the deputy and the police in the town.
This is what I was telling you before, Jay, where like Stephen King is great at writing characters to the point where like he'll just write one random one-off character like the town drunk that purposely puts himself in the drunk tank when he feels like he's too drunk.
It's like
he's a fully fledged person.
Yeah.
We only see him in one part of him just talking in an interview, but like we know oh my god, I know exactly who this guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes
Yep.
serious talent to
So-
like just have that short period of time to establish a
And
character.
from his viewpoint, you see like each gas station that she goes by, they're all closed because it's a small town, it's late at night,
Yeah.
and she takes the things out of there that spew the gas everywhere.
The pumps.
Yep, the pumps, releases them, gasoline starts going everywhere, and then fires start happening.
Without any fire hydrants.
And there's no
that's the
fire
point.
hydrants. So, like, this whole town, it's not just the high school. It starts at the high school, but she destroys as much as she possibly can. Like, girl power, she goes hard.
Part of it, I think, is like she wants this destruction to happen, but I think it's more like she wants it to not be stopped, and by doing the water,
she's planning ahead.
But like she doesn't care if the fire spreads or not. She just wants to stop people from stopping her fire. So like inevitably, instead of destroying the school, it destroys everything.
She's smart. They don't show that as much in the movie, but she is very smart. She knows so much, and that's exactly a good point of it.
Mhm.
Like, she's going through, she knows what people, how they're going to respond to it. She cuts off the water, she cuts off the police station, she creates chaos everywhere. At some point, people are outside, they hear, the explosions happening. And this, so I'll finish this thought before I go on to another. But, people start coming out. And they start running and they're panicking. And this one woman is like, no, we got to keep our cool. And everybody who panics, like, they get caught on fire. They just get, their energy gets added to the fuel, basically.
There's downed electrical wires. So when they run, they get zapped like the third rail.
Yes. Absolutely barbecued.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's just incredible. And then, so while Carrie is doing this, she's hunting down Chris and Billy. And it's not that they try to run her over. She hunts them down and finds them. Like, in timeline-wise, is her mom is first,
Her
right?
mom is first, and then she goes to her dad. I will
dad.
So I will argue a little bit on you on this point, Jamie, if we're talking about the book. So timelines of the book. She doesn't die at her house.
No.
She kills her mom at her house because her mom kills her.
It
But
tries
then,
to kill her.
because, like, her power is literally too much for her to handle and is overwhelming, she is just wandering about and ends up in front of a bar, which, in one of the lines that Stephen King wrote, it might have been the bar that her dad went to get drunk on whiskey when they were conceived at that moment. So that was, like, the implication of why she was there, but really she was just sort of, like, running on her last legs before she stops, and that's when she runs into Chris and Billy.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that means when her destruction of the town, that is after killing her mom, so...
No. She's destroying the town as she's going home.
Yeah.
Okay, and then she continues that path of destruction as
She's just going wild everywhere, and she can't stop until she literally dies.
It's important, too, because I don't think that she had any... like I mentioned in the movie, like, she has no positive...
No.
No, and that's... Okay, what I'm about to talk about is, like, the one positive, and it's twisted, so hear me out. Okay, Sue. Sue in the book plays such a bigger part. Like, in the beginning, like, there's conversation, she feels real remorse for what she did with the tampon, the plug it up situation. And she talks to Tommy about it, and Tommy's like, oh, Sue, that's not like you. You're better than that. Blah, blah, blah. I can't believe you did that. And she's like,
oh, so he's kind of...
Yeah, Tommy's a straight up nice guy throughout the entire thing.
And he's mad at her.
He's not mad at her, per se, but
he's disappointed.
He acknowledges the fact that, oh, wow, you really did fuck up.
Yeah. Like, that's not how people should act.
Gotcha.
So he truly is, like, how he's portrayed in the movie as just some, like, dumb jock who just happens to be the one to get
himbo guy.
Yeah.
He's still genuinely nice, though.
You can be a genuine himbo.
I think that's true.
He is, but he doesn't have the genuineness that's in the book.
I agree with you, because the way that Sue and Tommy, there's not enough screen time on them as to why they decide it.
Time, like,
stand at candles
and
the pans.
and like twirling around on the dance floor and making everybody fucking hurl in the theater.
We had thoughts about them like just spinning and
Yeah,
prom night
like,
dancing and just being like
Yeah.
whimsy.
Yeah. So that's the first part. Sue, you really feel like she's doing something. She's trying to be better. She got caught up in it. You know, like anybody can get caught up in anything. Not to bring it back to Nazi Germany, but hello politics. You know, you can
It's
get
a very
caught up.
teenager thing, right? You
Yeah.
want to fit in.
Yeah.
You don't want to become the target
Mob,
of the
exactly.
That's
bullying.
part of the
Not
reason.
Exactly.
group thing.
That's
Yeah.
part of the reason why in the beginning when they were throwing the tampons and stuff, literally everyone,
all
instead of including Sue,
Yeah, 'cause
like
yes.
the nice girl that you would
Not
think would do it,
Yes.
it's
someone else.
It's
Right.
they got caught up in the moment of just doing a dumb shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sue, throughout the whole book, it kind of goes between the current time and the future because Sue ends up writing a book.
She writes a
about what
tell all.
happened. Yeah, she does a tell all.
Okay.
And so throughout it, she never actually makes it into the gym. That part where she discovers in the movie where she discovers what Chris
She
and
was there. 'Cause it was, how did she get in? She doesn't have a date to the prom.
I
What
think
How
maybe
the attitude get it?
they were trying to give that goodwill of Sue's character from the book this part and be like, Sue really was trying to be good. Somebody was trying to be good to Carrie.
Yeah, like the way she was looking at Carrie, and there was like genuine like
Yeah.
joy and pride
And-
in her face.
and
It's like,
she was,
I
like,
made
trying
this
to
happen.
to
I helped.
stop the
And yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, she
yeah.
was. She was.
They
So-
probably needed to make that to clearly state because there was so little screen time of Sue
exactly.
and Tommy.
Yeah. So
I think even like either you having that conversation in the movie between Tommy and Sue about him being disappointed in her, or even just like having her 2 seconds of crying about what she did.
Yeah.
To Carrie, maybe
yeah.
would have helped.
I thought they might have like talked about it when they were watching TV and she was studying instead of because they
at
were like
the field.
initially
Yeah.
like in the book like that's when they talked like they were watching
Oh.
TV and then they were just chatting about it. It's like why do you really want me to do this? Like I feel like shit. I want to get over it. I don't necessarily
Yeah.
care about
Yeah,
Carrie
because,
White, but I want to do better.
In the movie, and I actually like had to take a moment and be like, is she being genuine? Because the coach, what is her name? Whatever.
I
The
Keep
lady
thinking
coach.
Megan, but it's not it. It's so not
no.
Megan.
Whatever.
Miss
but-
Collins.
Miss Collins, yeah, she's talking to Tommy and Sue, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Why are you taking Carrie to the prom? You're just trying to make fun of her. You're being mean."
That's
And
how
kind
you
of
could
calling
have
her out.
spent-
Yeah, but at that point, I was like, God, maybe they are. Maybe
Yeah.
they're lying to Miss
Yeah.
Collins, and maybe they're in on the like pig blood and everything, and it's all a conspiracy. I didn't understand that she was genuinely trying to help her because I feel like it wasn't clearly established.
Exactly.
With-
But
Yeah.
maybe that's also intentional in the movie to make you wonder.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Who's actually being genuine.
Question. Like I know you probably have a lot more Jamie of
I
like
have a lot more
different
to
things.
say about Sue.
But questions about just like, especially to like Rhiannon and Jay here, the characters that we have seen in the movie, what did you guys think of them overall? Like not just Carrie, but like the side characters. Was there anyone that really stood out
Red
to
Hat
you?
Girl.
Red Hat Girl.
She's got some issues, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
she
you-
just
The mean girl has to have flunkies somehow, yeah? Like,
Yeah.
how else can you identify her without her red hat?
without her red hat.
Mean girls gotta stick together.
The couple definitely have issues.
Ah,
The
yeah, Billy and
Billy and-
Chris.
Billy and Chris.
Billy and Chris,
yeah,
yeah.
they definitely have some.
Very unhealthy
They spent
relationship.
a lot of
Ugh,
time like
there.
delving in the movie, delving into them having a bad relationship.
Show
that they
that
didn't necessarily
scene for
have
so
to.
long, them fighting and like her
Yeah.
giving him a blowjob. It's like, why does this further the
Her
plot?
blowjob that, like, starts, like, on his stomach.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, a blowjob
to his
that's
belly
so-
button.
She's saying his name and Carrie's name. She's like, "Are you actually actively?"
Hey, Carrie White, like, is that going to
Oh,
make him calm? Like, what are you
manipulate
trying?
him? She's trying to set him up to do her dirty work.
Yeah,
And so, you know, of course women only work
Feminine
sexual
wiles.
yeah.
Maybe that's why they lingered on her, because she's using her feminine wiles to do
exactly
sin.
what I'm saying. Yes.
Exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
Which is, like, what Margaret White, Carrie's mom,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, this is what happens when women
Yeah.
sin. They get dirty pillows, and then dogs and boys come after them.
After the blood, the boys come smelling because they can smell
Sheesh.
the blood. Like they can smell the blood.
That's such a weird. I was like, oh yeah.
Can I?
more than weird.
For I need to get your thoughts on, what was her name? Piper Laurie. Margaret. She's the actress for Margaret White. What did you guys think of how Carrie's mom was acted? What did you guys think of her as a character in the movie?
I mean, I thought the acting was great. I hated her. I mean, but you're supposed to, right? Like, you're supposed to be, like, terrified and disturbed by her and
I had heard
upset every time. Like, every time she was, like, around, I was like, oh, God, what is she gonna do now? Which is, I'm sure, how Carrie felt.
Yeah, I had heard, which I might be what you're getting at, that Piper herself, either she was told or she just had assumed that her character was meant to be as over the top as possible, almost to the point of a comedic character. And so that's why it is as much as
Specifically, what had happened was the director, she couldn't get into the character. She wasn't as exaggerating, like, she wasn't as grand enough for the directors. Like, no, you need to, like, really sell it. And she's like, this is absurd, really. And so he had to tell her, like, think of it as, this is a black comedy. Like, you have to be absurd in order to get it across. I'm like, okay, now I get it. And so she thought this film was going to be portrayed as a dark comedy, and that's why she's so over the top like this.
Read the script?
She did, but it's still, like,
directorial choices,
editing,
and
production. She, like, so that's why she's so exaggerated as possible. She thought this was a comedy and not necessarily, like, an actual horror.
Really interesting. Obviously, I know this came way before Tangled, but a lot she reminded me of Mother Gothel.
Yeah.
The mannerisms, the movements, even though it kind of her hair was, it was like, oh, I bet they took a lot of inspiration from this character from Mother Gothel and Tangled.
Yeah.
I do kind of wonder when it comes to this movie, because of the directorial choice of making her over the top, like, how would it have been effective or scary if she was just, like, the extreme stern religious mother? Like, would it have worked as a movie?
I mean, I think she sort of came off pretty well. I mean, like, she was definitely a lot more chipper in the movie than what I thought, but, like, Carrie's mom wasn't, like, Bible-toting 100% of the time. She was like, they, like, sewed shit together in the same room and just, like, does normal stuff.
With a relationship like that, because if it's all bad all the time, then it's kind of easy to dismiss it. But the way it's like Carrie is conflicted when she hurts her mother and it ultimately kills her, and she cries because she did love her. And she knows her mother loved her somehow deep, deep down in some twisted, weird way. And they did have good memories together. But ultimately, she was a toxic, harmful person, and she had to cut her out of her life in this way, literally.
Yeah.
By stabbing, like, 7 times.
To be fair, she was stabbed first, so.
Yeah. Not the same death as the book.
Oh, okay. How in the book did that happen?
It's, like, I think they made the confronting the mother the climactic bit of the movie, which, again, if you don't have the destruction of the town, you need to have the mother be, like, the final thing.
Yeah.
And it was definitely, like, poetic that she died exactly like that creepy little Jesus in the closet.
Yeah.
Been the movie's choice.
That was the movie's choice. No, I want to be clear. Creepy little Jesus was still creepy little Jesus in the book.
Yeah.
She got nightmares as a kid being trapped with creepy little Jesus in the closet, like him chasing after her and being like, come with me to heaven.
Wait, but I kind of want that as a scene in a movie.
Yeah, that would have been more that.
In the book, it was actually very quick. What happened was, Carrie's mom stabs Carrie in the shoulder with a knife.
Oh, in the shoulder, not the back.
And Carrie was sort of like, used her telekinesis to stop her heart.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, slowly stop her heart. Like, just slow countdown of, like, it's going very cold. You're being very quiet. You're not going to do anything.
Very menacing.
Way better than what we got in the movie, I feel like.
It's very hard to sort of, like, show that in a movie of just the slow death being pushed in.
Like, now you could, do the zoom in through the bloodstream, and the heart just starts collapsing on itself.
You can show, like, shadows or something in order to make that hurt, like,
just
really...
saying out loud like that, like, your heart is slowing down.
Yeah, I mean, that works, too.
Struggling to breathe, and then the actor could portray
I do want to say...
like, that would be super
This also, want to throw out there, this is a 70s movie. All the special effects, or actual special effects, they set fire to the building and had Carrie just, like, walk through it. Like, that was legitimate fire if you, like, saw it.
Amazing shot. shot, but I am like, I was like, is this real fire? Am I
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real fire.
I guess also when it comes to this movie, because of the book coming out and then the movie coming out like what, a year?
Yeah, they
A
immediately
year after,
basically
like
they saw profit in this, and they made it, and this like movie made a killing. Like
Oh,
there's a reason why it became so popular.
Can I finish?
Yes.
Yes.
On Sue, please.
Oh yes, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt your
You've done like too many
Sue.
tangents, and I feel like if people are actually listening, they're gonna be like, okay, where is she coming from?
Sue.
Okay,
Go back
so-
to Sue.
Yeah, so we were talking about genuine connection and people not reaching out.
Yeah.
So in the book, you get those two views of Sue in the present of the book and in the future, you know, when she's written her tell-all, her memoir, and also when she's interviewed by the U.S. government that's investigating the happenings of the school and everything else. Yeah.
Sounds like X-Files,
Kind of
like
Jackers,
pre-X-Files.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what they were trying to treat
Yeah.
it. This was a one-off. If it's gonna happen, is Sue to blame?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get that more
Yeah.
genuine feeling from her. And how it happens in the book is Sue is at home and she hears the explosion from the school. She gets a bad feeling. She jumps in her parents' car and starts heading down there. And she doesn't really make it because there's all the fires at the gas station.
Right.
Everything.
There's the down power lines that we were talking about earlier. She makes it near the police station. I think she talks to the town drunk or somebody in that area.
Okay.
Cop, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And one of the cool things in the book is like everybody knows that Carrie is doing this, even if they don't see her. They just automatically like
it's part of
it's
her
like
power.
broadcast out.
She
that
wanted
Carrie is
people
on
to
the
know
rampage.
subconsciously
Yeah.
that it was
Fascinating.
her
Yeah,
getting
it was-
revenge.
Yeah, that's cool.
And people who had never even heard of her
Or seen her.
were like, oh my god, that's Carrie. Oh my god, Carrie is doing all these things.
Yeah.
That's some serious power.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really like very intriguing to me. And then throughout it, it gets a little fuzzy with all the things that Sue does going back and forth. But after Chris and Billy are killed, Sue finds Carrie and is there when she passes and has a link with her, like a
They kind
mind
of
to
tried to
mind.
convey that with the like grave scene at the
I
end.
think
I
so,
felt
yeah.
like, but it just came off
Yeah.
as kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she feels Carrie die. She is connected
She feels
to
how
her.
death
How did
happens.
she die
Yeah.
in the book? Carrie.
I think she
Stabbed.
overdoes it.
She powers her drained like a battery, and her heart couldn't
she-
handle it, so she just
all of
died.
this. And throughout the book, she was practicing her
Mm.
powers.
We didn't get to see that, which was upsetting because
we
she was
did.
basically like weightlifting, like lifting up a
It
hair,
seems like that.
Yeah, she was just, like,
characters
lifting-
practice their powers.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
a hairbrush up and down to
Oh,
try to
that's
practice. When she was nervous for her date, she was lifting up and down the furniture, trying to be like, is he gonna come? Maybe not. Maybe yes. Maybe
Yeah.
not.
Huh.
Sounds like a Matilda
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Matilda's a happy version of Carrie.
Is it happy though sometimes?
Fear.
And while she's practicing, you get the idea that lifting that hairbrush or lifting these things, she's eventually getting stronger.
Mhm.
But what she ends up doing, all of that destruction, is just too much for her.
Yeah.
Even with the training,
Yeah.
she went above and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so she's dying, and Sue is there with her. And it's like at the final end of her life, she finally gets a human connection that she has never gotten from anybody
damn.
else before.
I don't think I caught that, actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Sue is there
Yeah.
for her at the
Yeah.
end. And it's like Sue tries to be there, but it's like she does it by proxy through her boyfriend and does all these things where, have lunch with me, Carrie.
Yeah.
Like, let's, like,
She was
right.
sidestepping the responsibility of
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
apologizing by going a roundabout
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
She put it all
Which
out
is
there.
like-
correctly.
It's a teenager thing
It
to
is.
do.
Right,
Yes.
which,
But-
Because it's scary to admit you were wrong. It's
It
scary
is.
to face a person you've hurt.
Yeah, the older
Yeah.
you get even, the more
Yes.
scarier it is.
Yes, it
But I
is.
wonder like how much that would have changed
Well, I
how
mean-
the sequence of events
And-
if she had gone up to Carrie and just been like, oh, I'm so
Exactly.
sorry.
And I think that's one of the things that's so devastating. Watching the movie, reading the book, either way, at least in this, they portray it well. If one thing had been different, If
Yeah.
Sue had gotten there earlier and seen that pail of blood in the movie, if
Yeah.
Sue hadn't used her boyfriend as a I'm sorry thing,
Yeah.
if she'd have just become her friend, Carrie wouldn't have been at the prom. Like, maybe Chris could have come up with some other way, sure. But, like, if Sue had been the bridge to Carrie to make her more human,
Yeah.
it could have gone so differently. And that's what's so devastating for me. For the movie or the book, it's just absolutely devastating. That not until she's dying does she get to feel that connection with anybody. I mean, kind of with Tommy during the dance. Sure.
Yeah.
You know, they don't... It's not the same as in the movie. You know, I don't even think they dance in the book.
As the movie faded up a little bit more.
Yeah,
Like,
but with the relationship between... That doesn't happen.
She was actually a lot more confident in the book. Because, like, I mean, granted, she was a bit still shy and wasn't sure of it, but
very
she
introverted.
was cracking jokes. And a few of the friends that Tommy had was, like, laughing along with her. She was having a conversation. A lot more people were complimenting her
People
dress.
made a big deal about her dress that she made herself, and were super impressed with that. Yeah, you don't see it as much, but like there were in a lot of the things that I think Stephen King does so well in his writing is the behind the scenes, what the people are thinking,
which is hard to show in a movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I understand
without that external dialogue, but they definitely cut it out for the shots of
slow
panning shots
of just them walking
up
or just
the stairs.
Yeah, there's ways that movie could have maybe shown some other stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't get us that it's quite a short movie. It's only an hour and a half. It's like
but that was regular for the time.
That's true. But I'm just saying, if you cut some of those panning shots and you put some of the more like character building stuff in, 2 hours, like
just
that's
means
fine,
maybe have to try the 2013.
Yes, the one with Chloe Grace Moretz.
I don't know if it's good or not. I don't know if it's good or not.
It's so long in my list.
Yeah,
so, I mean, we can watch it and record it like as a backup episode if y'all want to see it. But I'm just saying, I ain't releasing that for like item number 300 or something.
I know. I want to watch it now, but I know like.
I might watch it now.
I mean,
I watch it now. I mean, we still record it. Like if we watch it, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna like change up. It's still gonna be released in order, so y'all are gonna have to like wait for it.
Blast from the past. Like, we actually recorded this 3
I'll
weeks ago.
state it honestly. I'll just state it like that.
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 movies.
Yeah, there's the There's the Carrie 1976, 2 years after the first book.
Yes.
There is Carrie 2002, which is like
that one is.
Yeah, there's like a lot of editing. There's a lot of green light. They actually, from what I remember, I've seen little bits of it. They do the flashback thing because each of the surviving characters are being interviewed by cops, and they flashback. So, but it has like definitely 2000 era stuff to it, and then there's the 2013 one.
Okay.
Question, just because, like, I know that we were talking a lot about the book and the differences between the books and the movie, and we were talking a lot about the climax of the movie. What did y'all think of, like, the beginning of the movie, or, like the earlier parts of it, the first half-ish
A lot of
movie?
boobs and bush going on in that beginning sequence that it's like, I'm gonna get it. It's a shower.
Like, for other movies, I would agree with you. For Carrie, I think that's actually important because a big theme in the movie, especially with like what Carrie's mom was doing, like femininity is a sin, not for being feminine, but for being sexual.
Yeah.
To the point where she didn't even teach Carrie about her own body.
Yes.
So we see girls her age who know their body, who are comfortable with body, and this is what the female body looks like.
Yeah.
So then
it is presented in a way that's not really sexualized. It's just,
they were doing their thing.
They were acting. They were having fun.
That scene with Carrie in the beginning.
The focus on the thighs, man.
Yeah. Who needed the focus on the thighs? Because that's how you show the blood coming
Okay,
down.
but the long panning.
The long panning, I will say.
Her boobs.
Yes,
then-
however, that was kind of it was comfort. It was almost like, but it's
There was-
also
yeah.
It's like a Dove commercial actually really slowed it down a bit.
she was
Yeah.
she was enjoying this. She was enjoying her body and her femininity in a way that's
true.
not sexual. She's just bathing, like that's very human. And then it becomes this horrifying experience for her because she doesn't understand.
Which is absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, we kind of talked about it during the movie. You know, the fact that she wouldn't know what that was. During the time period, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
But even today, it's hard to fathom that you don't know that. And also, at that point, you know, she was 16, 17. I think she was
17
yeah.
to 18.
Yeah.
So that
that
immediately
is a
says to me
very
she's
late-
malnourished.
Yes.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
like, you don't get a period until your body is ready for it
Yeah.
physically. So if you get it later in life, like, I hear that's the reason why people are getting periods a lot earlier in modern area. Because, like,
Yes.
back centuries ago, they wouldn't get their periods till, like, 15, 16, especially, like, if they're
Yeah.
not rich, just because, you know, they don't have food.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a malnourishment then.
Yeah, it
Part of
could
it is malnourishment.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Carrie's mom was gonna, like, act crazy
Basically,
regardless of when she gets
period
period.
doesn't start until the body is ready to support a child. And so for her, it wasn't until like 17 because she didn't have the nutrients or the sustenance or whatever probably to
Something
support.
that I
Also,
was
she's
thinking about-
very thin. Like she's like
She's very
real
thin, that's true.
Yeah.
Something I was thinking about during the movie, which I'm not sure because it's now talking about somebody in real life, but that scene and then also with her mom and such, and then being like disappointed that the period has come because now you're a woman. It reminded me of Jeanette McCurdy's memoir.
Yes.
Oh,
it
yeah.
did.
I
Because
just read this. Okay.
she talks about like her mom being and like both of them being upset that her period has started because then that meant that she no longer
She's not
was
a
a
child
child
anymore.
actor. She's
Mhm.
now becoming a woman, and so now she'd have to have different kind of roles.
Yeah.
And then that led into everything related to
Yeah.
like eating disorders and
Yeah.
everything associated with it.
with a certain type of family and also sometimes for religious reasons it's like the loss of innocence and purity
Mhm.
becoming a woman quote unquote getting your period even though there's nothing inherently sinful about it. It's
I mean,
natural.
periods
She
suck.
didn't have sex.
Yeah.
She didn't do anything wrong.
See,
but the mom was like, oh my
The
god.
mom saw it as a negative thing, but if we looked at Carrie herself, a lot of her positive changes come from because of her period and this happened, she realized her psychic powers.
Mhm.
So
And it's
her
also-
blossoming of a woman is a positive thing. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, as you become an adult, you realize what your power is, you understand that your situation might be holding you back, and you make moves to change it.
I mean, just think about like had her mom told her what a period was, then things would have played out a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Now, you know, are the people that are in that locker room being assholes? They'll still be
But
assholes.
even seeing Carrie knowing about the period was probably breaching her innocence.
Well, and the funny thing is, in
Corrupting
the
it.
books, Carrie is using tampons to apply her makeup.
You mentioned
And
the
yeah,
concept of
yeah.
She was not taught sex ed.
Right.
Mhm.
So she saw a tampon and was like, what's this for? And one girl sarcastically said, your makeup. You know, because, like, it's a tampon. Why wouldn't she know? And so Carrie, like, at age 14, 15, was like, oh, okay. Like, the girl, when she thought, like, because she was talking about it in the interview, the girl that said for makeup, she thought it was a little cute that she would use a tampon for her makeup. Because it's like, I don't know, that's innocent, that's sweet. Like, there's nothing harmful with that.
If she's doing that in the school
She
bathroom,
is, though.
then
She is doing it
Yeah.
in the
that is
bathroom.
not.
Yeah. And again, that could have been like a point where
Somebody.
another girl was like,
Society
hey,
is like-
you know what that's for, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she's like, no, I mean, yeah, it's for my makeup.
Carrie
and then,
never had, Carrie never had a support system
Yeah.
or a community.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, literally on the door to the gym, it says Carrie White eats shit.
I know.
Yeah.
And, like, So
Even
She
in
never
Sue's
could catch a
dream,
break.
it's this dream.
it says
Yeah.
on there.
Carrie White burns in hell.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, like even in the dreams, like it's so ingrained in
Even
them.
yeah.
Death,
to bully
she's still
her,
like
and-
it being
yeah.
sinful, which sort of sucks because Carrie just wanted a connection.
Yeah.
Exactly, and she didn't get that until the in the movie she
She didn't
didn't
know.
Never.
kind of with Tommy a little bit.
That's true.
But she
Kind
straight
of.
up
With the
Tommy
teacher,
was
Collins.
dead as soon as that metal bucket hit his head.
Yeah.
So it's like,
He went down hard. I was like, oh, he dead.
well, technically, like
Technically, he
died-
wasn't.
Concussive.
he was concussed, he was knocked out, but he couldn't save him from being electrocuted
In the fire.
and the
Yeah,
fire.
Once that happened, it's just like,
And
okay,
the-
everybody's dead now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that beginning scene, obviously all that happened. The punishment for all of the girls with going and doing
Exercise.
exercise.
So,
Sure.
drill sergeant.
The
Yeah.
thing that made me sad about the whole like punishing them for the period, because of course they'd be punished for the tampon incident, but it painted a target on Carrie's back because it's like, this is why we have to do
What type of
But
detention?
that's an insane. Yeah, only to
Only
Chris.
to Chris did it do that.
True. Yeah, that's true.
And in the
Because for
not
Sue,
to be a harp
it-
on this.
for Sue,
But-
it did something different. For Chris, it's
Yeah. And for really just for Chris, I feel like. In the books, there's this like really cool, to me, I found it very interesting storyline, more so with Chris, where you get more of a build up to the pig's blood incident.
It's
Where,
just like, oh my god, I hate it.
yeah.
She
it's
like
While going down on her boyfriend, oh my god, I hate
Yeah.
you.
So
Hey, can you give me some pig's blood, like, while giving a blowjob? Can you give me some
Yeah.
pig's blood and one coverage? I was
eat that Carrie White.
So Carrie White.
Mm-mm-mm.
Also, I'm sorry.
Just
Just
Sue?
her words weren't obscured at all. Her voice felt
No, it
clear,
was
so
so
I was
fake.
like, she's not doing.
Which I mean, good. It
anything.
should.
I'm pretty sure those were ADR lines, let's be
For
real.
sure.
Oh yeah.
But I was also like,
No, there's a microphone right
believe
there
that
next
she's,
to her.
giving him a blowjob.
Someone
No.
do a magic trick, stick a banana in your mouth, and see if you can speak as clearly as possible.
I'll pass things.
So, in the book, Chris has even more privilege over Carrie because her dad is a lawyer.
She's a privileged bitch. I mean,
Yeah.
she acted like one in the
She did
movie,
act
but
like
she
it.
is a
Yeah.
privileged bitch.
Yeah, she just gave me
So,
like a cheerleader to me.
She was like,
you know,
my
and-
daddy will hear about this.
I totally got that vibe when she stormed off the
Yeah.
field. That
Yeah.
for like it actually could have had that line in there, like "You're here for my parents" or something like
Yeah.
that.
You're here for
And-
my lawyer, which is my dad.
Which is my dad. And like throughout it, she has like this air of like, oh, my dad's a lawyer, so like I'm special.
Yeah.
And the principal and the dad have some interactions, which turn out to be very interesting, especially the time period. I thought everything
Yes.
would go in favor of Chris and her dad,
Mhm.
but the principal actually ends up standing up for Carrie.
Oh,
Even after,
Even after Colin O'Casey.
even
after-
after, yeah.
like
But
five
even
times.
after Miss Collins hits Chris, the principal stands up.
That's
for
enough.
him.
That's why the dad comes by is like, hey,
Mhm.
your teacher hit my daughter. I don't like that, and I will sue, but how about we just blow by this by, you just fire the teacher, and my daughter gets to go to prom, and
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah, let's
Yeah, fire the teacher. She's just a young thing, anyways. Who cares about her? Like, she shouldn't be working, anyways.
Wow.
Nice.
In the
I mean-
70s.
So, in what the principal does is he tries to get the dad to understand the impact
Mhm.
of what they're doing to Carrie.
Wow, okay.
Which, yeah, for the time, like,
Yeah.
that's really cool to be written in there and have it that way. I mean, it's sad that, like, that small point is, like, such a cool thing.
Yeah,
But
the bars
She
in
doesn't
hell,
Carrie
but,
doesn't see it though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Carrie doesn't see it, but it's just all of that background stuff that you don't...
It just adds to the
Mhm.
tragedy. Because it's like there
Exactly.
were people working to like protect her and give her what she needed.
Or
a
at
little
least
bit.
starting to realize what they were
yeah,
doing.
yeah. Like,
and
take some accountability.
Yeah, like,
but it
too
was
little, too late.
That
Yeah.
Did the movie have to have him say Cassie as many times?
They did it in the
That's-
book,
did.
too.
that's the whole point, because
Really?
like
She's
Yeah.
only once or was
No,
it-
no,
She
no,
doesn't
multiple
matter
times.
to anybody.
Yeah.
no one gives a shit about
I think
Carrie
in the
White.
book he does different names though, not just one.
Cassie Katie.
I'm not sure if that's better or worse.
Callie, maybe.
He keeps going back to Cassie.
It's better because at least he tried a little bit.
Yeah.
To do
It's like,
different
oh, not
He
Right,
remembers
Caitlin.
the mom, just not the daughter,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the daughter is such a forgettable nobody that everyone
She's just a wallflower.
immediate target on the back. I will say, I do want to say, the actress that they picked for Carrie was spot on.
She's basic.
The way that Stephen King describes Carrie is not like a vivid picture description. He describes it more of an atmosphere, like not like how her hair looks or how her skin looks. It's more like she looks like a cow, and like she looks like a human form of a cow that has been like left in the sun for too long. Like the way
What a description!
Like a malnourished cow.
No, but that's the thing. Like, I did not say the right sentence because I don't remember off the top of my head. But like, when you hear someone say like she looks like a boorish, like pimple-assed face cow girl.
Oh my god!
I think you're making it worse.
No, but like, what I'm saying is, when I say shit like that, a face comes into your mind as to like who that person would be. Like, no description's necessary on whether or not she has blonde hair or how tall she is. You instantly got an idea of the face structure, of like how she holds herself, the essence.
Yes.
And like that actress for Carrie got it spot on. Like, even her like dumbfounded face of trying to process like the fuck just happened, like when she saw the blood, the fuck just happened when she's reading the books. Like, spot on the entire time.
Her 1,000-mile
Her
stare.
1,000-mile stare
is doused in that blood.
Yeah.
Is something else. I don't
so
know
good.
whether another Carrie movie will be able to be as comparable.
It's so weird because she's like so locked in, but it's almost like she's checked out too, because she's just so overwhelmed by her anger and her power that it's just like she's not fully in
It's
control
just
anymore.
shame, really, that we don't get to see that actress in the walking down the street in the
We saw
town.
We saw it like walk by a fire truck, which like I get it, but it's not the same.
Confused.
Yeah, the fire truck was not paying attention to her.
No, I mean, I get where the fire truck's coming from. No, it's not even that it's dark. There's a literal school filled with burning kids. We can't stop the truck for one guy.
It's the trolley problem.
It's also the 70s. They don't have fucking, like, cell phones back then. They can't just call the regular fire brigade and be like, yo, we just saw, like, a very bloody person. Can you, like, send someone back over here?
Send the wee-woo wagon.
Send the wee-woo, please.
Send the
wee-woo.
But yeah, her acting in that is spot on, especially with, like, that blood and such. Like, it's...
Yeah, she did a really good job.
Any other positive things that you guys
just
like?
one more thing about her. And this is something I've just noticed about, casting then versus casting now, is that they casted people that just looked more ordinary, like people that you would just run into on the street. And now it's like all the people are just so beautiful, and it's like, okay, cool,
Teeth
but it's not as believable. And for me, she was just very believable. This was just a poor, neglected, abused kid who was just trying to find some connection, and she's kind of plain, but
apparently I looked, because I was like sort of looking up on Wikipedia to just get any facts about this,
and of course a lot of that's the styling and stuff, like, but it really struck me. Apparently she just looks like a girl, like, it's refreshing.
Apparently, from what I read about her, I don't remember what the bit is, but she for Sissy Spacek, when she was doing Carrie, she really wanted to be Carrie so bad. She left her already hired job for doing a commercial.
Oh my gosh.
She purposely made herself look like shit by leaving her face unwashed, putting Vaseline in her hair.
Okay, the greasy
wore
hair.
A sailor suit from the 7th grade that her mom sewed for her, and tore it up to do her lines, and she was given the part because she dressed to impress, and she nailed it just for the role you want.
You know what?
It's good.
Good for her.
Good for her.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
Any other positive things you guys like about the movie. Like, it could be a
I mean,
comparison. Like,
obviously,
it
it's
could
the first movie for Stephen King, and everything else came after that.
everything. So much came after that.
I mean, that only works because of the massive success the movie had.
The movies did. This man will write nonstop. I'm pretty sure those books would still be churning whether or not people actually sold.
I mean, but like it is that mixture between having successful books as well as successful adaptations. Not every author gets adaptations, especially like with your first book within a year or two.
Yeah.
And to keep that momentum going, that you're still relevant, 50 years later almost?
Stephen King movie coming out next week.
Like
Monkey.
2 this year, I think. I can't remember the other
Long
one.
Walk is actually coming out in production too.
Yes.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
I was waiting for a movie for that.
I mean, he's got 50 years worth of books and stories and all that to become even more movies in the future. Whether somebody wants to make another Carrie movie that comes out in 2030.
And they will. They will.
It's interesting because, like, with another author, you know, you hear 50 years of work, and you're like, okay, so what, like $20? No. Stephen King, it's like 1,000. Like, I mean, no, it's not 1,000, but it's like, it's so many. It's so many more than anyone, like, could.
Yeah.
You know.
Like a book a year plus all of his short story collections. Like, the publishers had to limit him to a book a year. That's why he wrote under a pseudonym, so he could keep publishing more books, so he could keep writing. That's crazy.
I do wonder, like, when the movie came out, when people, like, watching it as a horror movie, was what they got out of it, be like, don't be an asshole or you could die, or, like, what?
Yeah.
Well, was it, like, be careful of people that seem scary because they may actually be scary and
That's
kill
the
you.
thing is, like, did they see her as a villain back then? Or not, but, like, more of an antagonist and less of a victim?
Yeah.
Because I feel like they did kind of try to make it feel like a horror movie, but to me, this is just a tragedy. It's just,
Well, they're both, and it depends on who's watching it.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
It was definitely, like, ahead of its time, I think.
I think so.
Of just, like, part of it is just King's writing, but he touches on, like, a lot of human tropes.
Yeah.
On, like, human topics.
This was, because if it was his first book in the movie, was this taking place, like, while he was a teacher?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I think he might have, like...
Right, what you know.
He was writing it when he was a teacher with Carrie. He threw the pages away. His wife read them in, like, the shower scene, and she's like, yo, keep writing. I want to know what happens next.
Love that.
And the rest is history.
And the rest was history, yeah. He keeps crediting his wife Tabitha for being... basically being his first reader and encouraging, like, he'll let her read the book first and get editing stuff.
And she's just like, I'm gonna get the popcorn and I need to read.
That's right.
You got to tell me. This is my soap opera.
Oh, that's so sweet, actually. Yeah, it's
really sweet.
Yeah.
Any other topics y'all want to talk on?
I mean, I think the cinematography is, like, really cool. Obviously,
dragging
there's
shots.
They're kind of lame. But I mean, like, at, like, the climax with the school and the way it's, like, the split screen, the lighting changes, and
the set pieces are good too. Like the house where we see the
effects are
archways.
great. I mean, like, they hold up really well.
It's as fucked up as, like, a short scene of, like, dealing with the pigs. Like, I did like that pig mural of just, like, making it look like a nice happy field, and then they walk in and it's just, like, a factory slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Of, like, just trying to make it look nice.
I should say that too, because we do talk a lot about the lawn pan and such. I do think that is just a element of the 1970s, because we had the same complaints about The Omen.
Yeah.
And honestly, the thing is that there was a little bit of a transitionary period where it was like they shot movies entirely like plays, and then they kind of started experimenting with what else they could do with cinematography and mise-en-scène and stuff like that, and then they started branching out. And
Actually, did a little bit like in like the final
split screen,
split screens in the final scene of like showing Carrie looking, and then we get like terror and like people screaming
to
and then
convey her powers. They go.
Yeah, the sound effects, like, that's her thing, is, like, scary violin noises.
Make sure, like, audience
definitely got that from Psycho.
It. Yeah, it's like...
Definitely got that from Psycho. And the Psycho got it from someplace else, but that seems like, it's a very specific sound.
It's always a...
Alright, so, since it feels like that we're wrapping up here, I have one little bit that, because y'all probably don't know since you don't watch my podcast, but you
said it was a secret.
3 episodes. One of them is the rules. But this is what I'm doing. Basically, I have this nice little tier chart of just like ranking everything that I've read or seen.
Yeah.
It's one chart, so it's going to be filled with like over 400 things by the time this is done.
Quite overwhelming.
Yes, I want it to be overwhelming and scare people.
You might have to do like a decade.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Decades or something.
That's
70s, 80s, 90s.
That's
Yeah.
too much.
That's not a bad idea.
See when we get there. But I wanted to get what your opinions are as to where do you think on this chart, S tier being the best, and then F tier being the worst.
Mhm.
Where would you rate, and like C tier being like, C level, mid.
Yeah.
Where would you put Carrie as the movie? You could probably mark it with how you compare it to the mark it with how you think of it as a movie on its own, but where do you guys vibe with Carrie just with this film after watching it? Where would you put it? What is your opinions?
It's like B or C tier.
I'm on a C. I'm like, it was
C for Carrie.
It was
C for Carrie.
I think the book was more A tier, which I think I agree with you on.
Thank you.
But I think the movie is more of a C, like maybe a B minus, C plus, but C. I think there's so much more they could have done with it. You don't quite get all of the backstory and the build up to it. You're kind of missing some of that. So I think from the potential of what it could have been and what you get, I think it's a C.
I think for me, I'm actually gonna divert a little bit now, give it a B. Only because, for what the movie was in the 1970s, we're talking about the 1970s, there's not that many horror movies to compare it to. I don't even think, what year is it again?
76.
76, so is that before Halloween?
Yeah, Halloween was an 80s movie.
Yeah.
And is that before Friday the 13th?
Yes, because that came out in 80 directly.
So, as a horror film in general, it
kind of
probably
defined the
was
genre.
It predates the slashers.
Yeah.
Right. So, I guess thinking about, some of those aspects of it, and that's probably what made him so big.
Old monster movies and Vincent Price movies and things like that.
Because that would have been the 60s era. So now this is kind of starting to define.
So you would put in the B for its historical context. It is a movie where
it's got some flaws.
It got some flaws, but it definitely defined the genre as to what horror movies can be, and there is a reason why it's in the Library of Congress. It is a defining
its
film.
Cultural impact cannot be understated. I completely agree. I'm okay with putting it in D.
That's
that's a you thing
on the historical aspect of it.
For me, I would probably keep it as a C level.
C.
Just because, the difference, I'm trying to judge this as, a movie as of itself. With the adaptation, there is some parts that, match up decently well. I like some of the creative liberties that they've taken with, how the pigs end up getting, killed in, scenery effects. Her dealing with Tommy at the prom, I sort of did like that. He kept trying to push her out of her shell and the dancing thing.
Yeah.
Some of the things, again, probably what you said about the 70s cinematography, just, the scenes kept dragging a little bit longer. I have a short attention span. I wish it would go a little bit faster than what it did. Pacing could have been a little better. I did like the climax as it was. I wished it was a bit longer comparatively. I don't think it was the full, 30-minute climax of her destruction, so I wish it was a little bit more to that since that was the highlight. But for what it is, I think it is a decent movie. It's an hour and a half movie. It's a solid flick if you just want to put it on. Plus the acting of Carrie and her mom definitely is what sells how Carrie is what she is.
Yeah, the way they play off each other.
I think that was definitely good. It's not definitely not anything lower. You won't
no.
You're not missing you're not gonna be upset if you see Carrie. It might not be your thing, but you won't think it's a bad film.
I would say probably is a bit of a trigger depending on the person that you are, and just There might be some warnings.
Letting people know if they have not seen the second episode that I've done for KingQuest. Stephen King is doing the psychic trope and religious people trope. Like, he definitely has a thing against, like, Bible thumping.
Religious trauma, basically.
Just religious trauma, but also, like, the assholes that use religion as a weapon than a shield.
Yeah,
like, those guys that weaponize religions. King hates them.
Yeah,
and he keeps demonizing them any chance he gets for any of his, like, books and movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So, just letting you know, like, if you're dealing with that, it definitely touches on it in this movie a lot, and the book a lot, but for me, I'm gonna keep it as C tier. Leave it as is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for joining me on this part of King's Quest. I don't know if you will join me for other books that I'm reading.
I will.
I will let you know that I'm reading them. And
then I'll tear apart the movie.
We'll tear apart the movie.
I'll watch the movie. I can't promise books.
I will watch the movie books.
When the fuck is the next movie? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Salem's?
No. What? No, that came out in the 80s. There's a couple of movies that came out before.
That's interesting because Salem's the second book, but it's not the second.
Oh, okay.
movie.
No, you're right. It is Salem,
Haha.
but it's technically listed as a TV show because it's a miniseries.
Yeah.
So
That's gonna be
the 1979 Salem's Lot, the original one, was set as a miniseries, just like the original It. So it's 3 hours, but technically it was shown in like half-hour blocks. So, but they just, as a movie, they just compiled it to be 3 hours.
Would it be better for that to watch them as episodes or to just
They don't
watch the whole
split.
thing?
They don't split it as
just watch the whole
episode. You
thing.
gotta watch the whole thing at this point. There's no way in hell we're gonna know when the divide is. There's so much going on. Well, don't worry. We don't have to worry about watching it just
Critical
yet.
Role, and it's like 4-hour-long epists.
That was during the pandemic.
No, but the
Actually, after that,
70s,
during the pandemic.
this is the 70s movie that we're talking about. How much panning is going to be happening during this movie?
79. It's the tail end of the 70s. So
Panning.
what's the next? Oh, the next movie is The Shining. Ooh, the next movie after that is The Shining.
I will be
fuck
here for The Shining.
Oh, and we can definitely have a lot of conversation about what the fuck they missed.
Yeah.
Do you have an extra copy of The Shining?
I don't have The Shining.
You don't have it at all. Okay.
I only have one copy, which is my
I know.
with
I
my
know.
big Omegas Omegas
I've been meaning to get a library.
omnibus. Yeah,
It's great.
my big ass book of Stephen King that has like The Shining and like 3 other books tied to it. That's my only copy of The Shining. I do not have my own solo copy of The Shining.
Got it.
And you took my only solo copy of Night Shift, so I gotta read it from my big ass book too.
Yeah, for those listening, I've had it for months. I've read 2 stories of it.
For
I've liked
months?
them. I've liked them. Read them. I'm depressed. I'm doing my best. Okay.
Wait, okay, so Jamie, have you already read The Shining?
Yeah, I have.
See, I was gonna be reading The Shining. Jane might be. I'm probably only gonna watch the movie.
I should.
I'm gonna have.
I'm so fucking confused.
I love the perspective, though.
You know
What
what?
do you mean?
I like it.
It's the movie and the movie.
I
and
know
book
they're completely different.
Completely
They're
different.
supposed to be,
It's gonna be a lot of fun. We
Yeah,
can watch the Shining miniseries. That's supposed to be more faithful to the
I didn't
book.
know there was a Shining miniseries.
You do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other like Stephen King adaptations. There's so many. of this man.
All right.
Alright.
I can be the one that you guys can tell me this is all the stuff that the movie did wrong.
Well, speaking of this,
No, because you'll have the perspective of just seeing the movie, so it'll be like a different perspective than us.
and
I don't have the attention span to read.
well, we will work on that. And for the next episode, as we're talking about it, the next book that we are going to be reading, at least I am, is going to be The Shining. So that's going to be the next one. Hope you guys take care. See ya.
Bye.